I will call to order the September 4th, 2024 Plan Unit Development Committee meeting. We do have a quorum rather to conduct today's hearing. Today, our first matter is case number PUD-24-5, Samuel's Auto, a request to approve architecture and site plan for new commercial development at 14033 Trade Center Drive in the Fishers Trade Center PUD. And we have Christy for the staff to present.
Hello. All right, Christy Cashin, Senior Planner with the City Planning Department. The project before you tonight is a two-story commercial building with the use of auto sales. The proposed project is located at 14033 Trade Center Drive and is located in the Fishers Trade Center PUD. The Fishers Trade Center PUD ordinance number 031595B and 070898 lists development standards for building setbacks, structure height, lot coverage, landscaping, and parking. All other development and architectural standards defer to the UDO. The petitioner is requesting to build a two-story commercial building for auto sales. The first floor is 5,388 square feet, and the second floor mezzanine is 2,663 square feet. Staff has worked with the petitioner to address all architectural requirements from the UDO, resulting in modulation, varied materials, added landscaping, and the rotation of the building as shown in this site plan. This is the landscape plan from the engineers, so the building is not correctly positioned in this one, but it's in the right space, just not turned the right direction. It will be, that's part of my tech, or one of the requirements is to have the drawings and tech comments as part of a commitment tonight. This is the view of the proposed building from both State Road 37 and Trade Center Drive. These elevations show the variety of materials in whites, grays, and blacks for the majority of the building. These two elevations are the elevations for both State Road 37 and Trade Center Drive. These elevations show the garage doors that access the garage area on the north elevation and the storefront glass along the indoor showroom on the south elevation. The building is made of white metal paneling, light gray EIFS paneling, dark gray EIFS paneling, black brick, gray stone, and the obvious has ample windows and garage doors and entry doors as well. The proposed building will be located along State Road 37 between Buffalo Wild Wings Restaurant and O'Reilly's Auto Parts Retail Store. Across the street from this property is along Trade Center Drive is a auto sales facility and a commercial strip center. Staff recommends the PUD committee approve the elevations as proposed and approve the site plan with the following condition: that a new site plan is submitted to ILP application ILP-24-7 addressing all tech comments. And the petitioner is here with a short presentation as well.
Thank you.
There you go.
My name is Don Highlander. My company name is Connecting Spaces. We're the architect for the project. So Christy has done a great job in presenting the project. I really don't have too much to add. I guess I'll just open it up if there's any questions from the committee.
Thanks, Mr. Highlander. Any questions for the petitioner or the staff?
For the signage on the building, is that what the proposed signage would be, or would that come back as a different sign package?
It'll come back as a separate design package for any signage.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll confirm as staff too. All signage here is just conceptual for you guys to see scale. We handle all signage through our sign permit.
Thanks, Ross. Any further questions? At this time, I would entertain it. Sean, do you have a question?
And one question, probably more of a staff question, relative to, I know this came up as a question for the property south, the Lincoln dealership when they did their expansion, the removal of the fence along 37. This property may have already had the fence removed, but I don't know that for sure. Can we make sure that that's a commitment, that that is removed?
We can just say it
Or
tonight. I'm not
request
sure
it.
if it has been or not.
That's it, I don't have any other comments.
Thanks, Sean. Well, at this time, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion with the caveat of the fence added in, removal of the fence in front, if it exists,
And will that also include the conditions that the staff requested?
as well as the conditions from the staff. Thank you.
I'll
Thank you.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Okay, roll call, please.
Yes.
Mr. Curran,
Yes,
Mr. Bender,
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson.
Yes,
Thank you.
the motion carries.
Thank you.
The next matter is PUD-24-14, Lot 7, Allisonville Place. It's a request to approve architecture and site plan for the development of approximately 8,300 square feet of professional service space for a hair salon at 10992 Allisonville Office Drive. And we have with us Grace to present for the staff.
Good evening. My name is Grace Wiley, and I'm a planner in the city's Planning and Zoning Department. The proposed development is located at 10992 Allisonville Office Drive. The petitioner is proposing a professional service space for a hair salon. The property is generally located at the southwest corner of Allisonville Office Drive and Easy Street west of Allisonville Road. The property is located in the Allisonville Place PUD, ordinance number 120406B. The surrounding properties are also located in the Allisonville Place PUD. The surrounding character is shown here, with a bank and a medical office across the street to the west and a storage center to the south. The property to the north is currently vacant. The site plan and landscaping plan are shown here. The proposed building is approximately 8,300 square feet with 49 proposed parking spaces. The PUD's architectural development standards are included in the staff report for this item and are shown here. Standards not being met are highlighted in yellow. The PUD requires that buildings on Parcel D, where this project is located, have residential style 612 pitched roofs. However, the roof of this project has a pitch of 412. Staff believes that the architecture is adequate for approval, though. Here are the proposed elevations. The petitioner, during his presentation, has examples of the materials. Here are renderings of the proposed buildings. Staff recommends approval of the proposed elevations as presented, with the condition that all TAC comments are addressed. Staff is available for questions. Thank you. And the petitioner will make his presentation. Please note, Greg O'Haron is here to present, not Scott.
Thank you.
Sorry. Hi, Greg O'Haron, Shamrock Builders. And so we have all the samples here. But we do want to reduce the roof pitch. You know, everything used to be taller pitch, and now it's been reduced from a 612 to a 412. This is what we have in terms of finishes, with the stone being the primary roof. This is stone that goes down below. This is stone that goes around the windows. These are the windows. So hopefully it should be a nice looking building. That's basically it in trying to do here. Any questions?
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Questions for the petitioner or even staff? None? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, Kate, please.
Ms. Baumgartner,
Yes.
Mr. Curran,
Yes.
Mr. Bender,
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson.
Yes,
Thank you.
the motion carries. Thank you. Next matter is PUD-24-15, Cove at Thorpe Creek PUD, additional home elevations. It's a consideration of additional home elevations within the Cove at Thorpe Creek PUD, generally located west of Florida Road and north of East 113th Street. And we have Ross Hillary here, not Gabrielle, to present.
Gabrielle is sick today. I appreciate it. For the record, Ross Hillary, Director of Planning and Zoning for the City of Fishers. Before you tonight is PUD 24-10. These are additional home elevations for the Cove at Thorpe Creek. The Cove at Thorpe Creek is located off of Florida Road here, just south of the new Cynthian Road extension. This is part of the Cove at Thorpe Creek PUD, which is ordinance number 071921A, which was approved by City Council back in August of 2021. There was an amendment in November of 2023. This includes 107 acres located, like I said, off of East 113th Street and west of Florida Road. There are a couple different home sections in this development, but tonight we are talking specifically about the area highlighted in red. It's approximately 15 acres and is known as the patio district. Before you tonight, Fishers Home, who is the builder, is requesting approval of 3 new home models, which includes 12 elevations in total. A little bit of background that came before the PUD committee. These were home elevation models. You can see the names on the screen that were approved back in 2021 as part of the original rezone. This came before you again in 2021. Earlier this year, in June of 2025, we did add additional 5 new home elevations: Amelia, Camden, Maxwell, Morgan, and Williamton. Petitioner is here tonight to kind of talk about the need for additional home elevations, but staff is going to walk through those with you. So they have a new home model called the Ivy. So these were included in your petitioner's packet. Staff believes that these 2 home elevations do lack roof modulation, so we have asked for these to be removed as part of our recommendation. So this is the Ivy Coastal Classic with brick and the Ivy Coastal Classic with stone. We have the Ivy Modern Retreat with stone veneer and the Ivy Modern Retreat with brick veneer. These home elevations, staff believes, have multiple roof modulations and the some level of masonry similar to the ones previously approved. This is the Ivy Modern European with brick veneer. Switching to a new home model, this is the Linden, the American Classic with brick veneer. This home elevation has multiple roof modulations and some level of masonry shown on the front facade. We have the Linden Modern Farmhouse with stone veneer. We have the Linden Coastal Classic with stone veneer. And then moving on to the last new model, which is the Olive. They're presenting the Olive Modern Farmhouse with brick veneer and Olive Modern Retreat with brick veneer. Staff has asked for the Olive Modern Farmhouse to have an additional roof modulation if approved tonight. Similar, this can be located along the front stoop area. To wrap up the Olive, we have the Olive Coastal Classic with stone veneer, the Olive Coastal Classic with brick veneer. And lastly, this is a question for the petitioner, but I believe we know the answer. We see some color difference on this one. Is that just shadows? Okay, that's what we thought. So with that, this is all of the home elevations that were presented tonight. The two that are in red, staff are recommending to be removed, and the one shown in yellow, staff is recommending an additional roof modulation either on the roof or above the porch. Staff is happy to answer any questions. Here are those listed out, but I will leave up the home elevations here. As mentioned, Fisher Home, Amanda Deerdorf is here to answer any questions.
Thanks, Ross. Petitioner may approach.
Good evening. Thank you so much, Ross and staff. It's always great to work in the city of Fishers. Tonight before you, again, are just, great examples of Fisher architecture and updating plans and elevations, just to make our neighborhoods really pop and stand out. These are, again, 3 new plans for the patio section. Again, that section of the cove is geared towards our active adult. They're not age restricted, but age targeted. We offer 1-story living as well as the primary suite on the first floor. So just really trying to attract that buyer and provide great architecture and great plans. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Otherwise, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Questions?
Yes, for the square footage of these, is it pretty consistent with the square footage of the previously approved elevations in this area?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. If not bigger, but yeah.
On the Ivy Modern Retreat, with the stone veneer, on the brick it has the veneer that goes all the way up to that porch roof. But the stone, it looks like it's just under the flood level.
A wainscot is what that is
Okay.
technically called in the architecture world.
With the stone veneer, I'm definitely not an architect,
That's
so
okay.
forgive me.
Nor am I.
I think just looking at them side by side, I like that the brick veneer goes all the way up around that first floor with the windows there and the garage around that. So that would probably just be my only comment on that one. On the Coastal Classic, is there an ability to change any of the roof modulations? I know that you guys have wanted to change things up and not be super consistent all the time, but looking at it like this, it is fairly flat.
Correct. Yes, so unfortunately, no, for this specific elevation, the Coastal Classic. So we try to offer almost like a package, if you will. With that roof goes with gables, goes with siding, goes with veneers, goes with masonry, the whole package. So what we would do is just eliminate that and still be able to offer the Ivy Modern Retreat with low stone. That is, for whatever it's worth, more of in line with the architecture style. Some consumers like more of the siding, farmhouse, modern retreat, what have you, and others like more of a, coming from more of a traditional heavy brick. So we like to just offer something for everyone. Just to sort of answer your first comment.
Sure.
Thank you.
On the Olive Modern, were there modification examples recommended, or were there anything in terms of look at?
I think staff had recommended some potential modulation on the roof of the porch area versus changing the roof of the second story as an easier modification. But Amanda could comment if they're able to do that.
Yeah, that would be something that we would probably, if there's a concern from the city, we would probably just eliminate that elevation. We have, 2 other really good ones to kind of choose from, 3 other options, so probably enough in the mix of all the plans we offer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sean?
Just a couple comments and questions. The Linden, the American Classic, and the Modern Farmhouse both have kind of this same kind of front entry detail, essentially. Depth there, is there any sort of cover over, it doesn't look like there's any sort of a covered front entry porch type of an effect there.
It is recessed. by how much I'd have to look at the plan, but it is recessed from, there is an overhang, if you will.
Okay.
You're not just standing out
Okay.
under
yeah.
the elements.
It appears that it's pretty flat. You can see a little bit of a shadow line there,
Sure.
but obviously it's a rendering, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah,
I think as long as there is some depth that is, enough for someone to get out of the rain a little bit, then I think that is an okay detail. On the modern farmhouse, the Linden Modern Farmhouse one, I guess my only concern is that window in the gable looks a little bit out of scale with the volume of space that it's sitting in. If there was a way to just increase the size of that window or make it a double window instead of a single or something like, it just feels like it's almost an afterthought that a window is stuck up there.
okay.
Other than that, I think the ones that are approved, I'm happy with. I would agree on the Olive Modern Farmhouse, that I think that would be, the one that would need modification or be removed. And then I agree on the Ivy Coastal Classic ones. That's it.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Any comment, Amanda, to Sean's last question regarding the Olive Martin farmhouse?
What I would suggest is if we could approve it with a larger window, something along that, and then I can go back to our team and see about that. And again, in the event we just wouldn't offer that, but that's a little, something from a process standpoint could potentially be accommodated versus changing a roof line, so.
Yeah, it's not a structural modification, it's just a
Correct.
wider header and
That's right.
a different window. Seems like it'd be easy to
Sean, I apologize. Which window are you referencing?
do. The Linden Modern Farmhouse,
The window in the gable.
in the window in the gable, the large gable with the little window in it. And for whatever it's worth, the Linden American Classic, the window looks proportional, but I think that gable is smaller than the other one. So that's probably why it feels a little more proportional.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Further questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve with the removal of the Ivy Coastal Classic, both of those, the Olive Modern Farmhouse, since the roof line can't be changed, and then with the condition of the Linden Modern Farmhouse having that larger window.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Kay, roll call, please.
Ms. Baumgartner,
Yes.
Mr. Curran,
Yes.
Mr. Bender,
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Next agenda item is PUD-24-19, The Union. It's a request to approve architectural elevations for the mixed-use development located at 9299 Gritstone Drive, including mixed-use, office, 2 restaurants, and a structured parking garage. And we have Ross Hillary again to present on behalf of the staff.
Yes, thank you. Excited to present this one before you tonight. For the record, Ross Hillary, Director of Planning and Zoning. Before you tonight is PUD 24-19, which is the Union. So the project location is at the intersection of USA Parkway and IKEA Way, which is south of Fishers District and north of the Forum Event Center, located here on the map. This property was rezoned as part of the Villas at Fishers District, Ordinance 021521D, back in 2021, which this allowed for multifamily development, which we are all familiar with the slate at Fishers District, which has wrapped up construction. And this is a proposed development that was part of the Union. Here is the concept plan that was included in that PUD. So we're talking about Area B on the left side map. And at that time, they did provide a couple of different concept plans, which did include the uses that we're talking about tonight. So I'll show you those concept plans, and then we'll show you what the proposed site plan is right here. So as you can see here, there is multiple buildings that we're looking at. So tonight we're seeking approval of building BCG, which is located in the middle. That is a office mixed-use development. We're seeking approval for building D and F, which is directly north of there. That is a restaurant use. And then building E, which is a mixed-use multifamily development, as well as the structured parking garage. Staff and the petitioner will bring forward building A, which is a hotel, at a further, future PUD meeting. So I just kind of want to zoom in a little bit. So we've seen that site plan. It's up in the upper right corner for some context. So here is the pedestrian plaza. This is all at grade. So when you're there as a pedestrian, the sidewalk and the street kind of blend together, which allows for this area to be closed off for special events. They will have a lawn that has lights over it. Both the restaurants have outdoor seating and garage doors that open up to that lawn. And this truly connects all the buildings that we're talking about tonight. We'll move forward with building BCG, which is on the south side here of that plaza. So building BCG has a defined bottom, middle, and top with HVAC screen within a penthouse. The overall height is 80 feet at the top of the parapet. This is a building materials that are a combination of masonry brick, limestone, fiber cement board, and glass. The balconies contain both cable and glass railings. So here you can see the north elevation, which will front that plaza, and the south elevation will be adjacent to that parking garage. Here we can see the east elevation and the west elevation. All sides of the buildings have pedestrian scale lighting and glass that fronts that pedestrian area. Here is a mixture of the materials. The petitioner does have the materials here tonight if you'd like to see those. You can see a different combination of brick, the hardy material, some faux wood material, as well as different louvers, pedestrian scale lighting, and the balconies. We will move forward. You can see on the map too, we're moving on to building D, which this is a restaurant. The restaurant is 2 stories, 32 feet to the top of its parapet, has a combination of multiple fiber cement board. You can see here glass, pedestrian scale lighting. It does have outdoor second floor patio with an exposed staircase that will be used by patrons. This also has a garage door that leads to the pedestrian plaza mentioned before. Similar nature to building BCG, we have fiber cement board as a variety of materials included. Moving on to building F, this is also a restaurant. I'm calling it 1.5 stories. It is around the same scale as the other restaurant at 33 feet to the top of its roof. It also has garage doors that open to the pedestrian plaza with pedestrian scale lighting on all sides. A good combination of brick masonry material and glass. Here you can see, it's a little hard to see that, a little easier in the petitioner packet, that masonry material and the hardy material that's part of building F. Moving forward, this is the mixed-use multifamily development. So this is building E. Like the other buildings, it has a defined bottom, middle, and top with the HVAC screened within the mechanical penthouse. This building is 6 stories in its total height with 75 feet to the top of its parapet. You are seeing here the north and south elevation. So the north elevation is some of back of house along with access to the parking garage, which is internal. The south elevation also has access to the garage with decorative metal screening that exposed parking deck. Here you can see the elevation west and east. I'll start off with the east elevation. This is adjacent to the villas at Fishers District, multifamily. And the west elevation, you can see here, kind of broken up into 2 portions. One, which is a pedestrian heavy area that's adjacent to that green that we mentioned earlier. So this has retail shops, a good deal of glass, pedestrian scale lighting, and opportunities for public art. And then we move into the back half of the development, which is adjacent to the structured parking, which is exposed parking deck, but screening that's included on there. There's a wide variety. It's a very large building. So you can see here multiple different fiber cement, board, stone material, as well as the synthetic vegetation wall that they've included. Lastly, I will show you the garage. So the garage will be 3 stories with glass staircases at the east elevation as well as the west elevation. The materials are a combination of exposed concrete, masonry, and metal mesh panels that we saw on Building E. There's opportunities here for public art as well, which I'll show on a slide. Here is a sample of the materials, the precast concrete, the concrete masonry wall, as well as the mesh panels that are shown. These were included in your packet too, but I did want to provide these. The petitioner included these. They show a really great amount of scale for what this building, what they're doing. So in the upper left, you can see the restaurant and that pedestrian node area. The upper right is the other restaurant use. The 2 on the bottom are also the pedestrian scale outdoor eating areas and that raised sidewalk. This last slide shows the lawn that is right off of the main mixed-use office building, along with the street frontages that are kind of built into this program. You can see here how these 2 restaurants in the building really frame this pedestrian-heavy area. One of the staff recommendations is to continue to work the petitioner on public art, but we did get this today, and I wanted to show you the opportunity to have public art throughout this development, and I think they're doing a good job of kind of spreading it out and really incorporating it throughout. So with that, staff does recommend PUD approval with the elevations as presented, with the following 2 conditions. First off, the petitioner continues to work with staff, determine the location and the square footage of public art opportunities. And number 2, that all TAC comments are addressed. I'm happy to answer any questions. Our friends from Thompson Thrift are here as well to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Ross. The petitioner.
Good evening. I'm Ryan Menard with Thompson Thrift. I just want to say thank you for your time and consideration this evening. What we feel we're bringing forward is a really unique development that'll fit into Fishers District, be a vertically integrated development with 60,000 feet of retail, 250 apartment units, 135 unique hotel rooms, as well as 70,000 feet of office space. And all that will then provide an anchor for the overall district, connecting the yard in the north down to the Crossing Event Center at the south, and really truly make this kind of a walkable community here as well. So happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Brian. Questions for staff or petitioner?
Ross had a question. What's the height restrictions that governs this area?
That's a great question. When we're looking at building BCG, that was the area that we wanted our highest concern. So the building itself does sit underneath that. It does allow for mechanical penthouses to go above that. So I believe it is 75 feet, which is the top of the building.
And the 80 you mentioned is the mechanical?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Sean?
Yeah, a couple of comments, questions. I think generally speaking, I think I like the design overall, the massing of the buildings. A little concerned with density of it relative to landscaping. It seems like there's a lot of hardscape on there and very minimal landscaping other than foundation plantings and in parking lot island spaces, other than kind of the green space between the 2 restaurants. So I guess this is a question for staff. Does this meet the requirements in terms of percentages of hardscape versus landscaping and things along those lines?
That's a great question. This is still going through our TAC process, so I can verify that they've met all the landscaping requirements. Where the PUD is silent, it defers to the UDO. but I can verify all that.
That'd be my only concern with that, with kind of this overall site plan, is that, relative to the apartment building, a little concerned architecturally with the east elevation of it, that parking garage that appears to be visible in the elevation that is directly adjacent to the residential properties to the east, that their view out of any level of that is going to be at a concrete wall and cars. So I'm curious about what efforts are going to be taken to screen that, or are in place in efforts of screening that. Because that is 24 feet, if I'm reading that correctly, to the first level of apartments.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. Steve Herron with Thompson Thrift. So we're open to more screening. As you can see in the other renderings, the west elevation, the south elevation, we played with the structural parking that's also to our west. Mm-hmm. Screened it similar to that. Kind of that view from Ikea Way, saying, hey, if you're driving, we don't want that to be concrete. Right. I see that same perception from the townhomes. There's not a ton of windows in those townhomes, and they're oriented kind of perpendicular. Yeah. So you're not, it's like a front door you're staring at it, so we kind of felt it was an okay back of house. But we're open to more screening if that becomes a desire.
Yeah, I think whether it's a mixture of the metal mesh kind of thing and whether berming or landscaping or trees or something along that property line would help improve that dramatically, I think.
Great. And there is landscaping a little bit between the townhomes and the property line itself. And so maybe we can work with the land we still currently own and buffer it without outlining the building, and maybe we can work with staff on that.
Yeah. I think the two restaurant buildings, I think scale-wise look great. I don't really have any concern with either of those. I like how they both open into the green space. Yeah. The office building, the only concern I have with that is the opening that I'm guessing connects through to the parking garage.
Right.
And presumably that's kind of the entrance to the office portion of it, that it feels a little underwhelming for an office tenant. If I'm an office tenant and I'm telling someone to come to the building, I'm telling them, go into that hole and then go inside and go up the building, that there's no real kind of dramatic entry for the office. I don't know if there's a way to kind of dress that up in a way that makes it feel a little more prominent.
Sure. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. So that was actually a kind of somewhat of a conscious decision. We want to tour around the southeast and the south, some of these different mixed-use developments to really look and see what worked, what we didn't think worked. And one of the things is we used to have that actually as an enclosed lobby, but we saw in all these developments that breezeway really drew people into the courtyard, which is what we wanted to do. We wanted to give a logical way for someone to get from the parking garage to that ground floor into the heart of the development. And that kind of that pocket lobby was one of the things we saw in a couple of those developments, one specifically at the Battery in Atlanta, where they had an office lobby that was kind of that punch out, and it was known that you took the stairs down, you were essentially enclosed the entire time into your lobby and then back up into the office space. But we can look at ways to maybe accentuate that and just again drive a little bit more.
Yeah, I think if there's something that can be done there just to identify that that's an entry in some manner. I think that in concept, I think that works great from the parking garage side, because it really gives you that vista as you're walking through there. You're looking at the green space ahead of you. And as you get closer and closer, it starts to frame that vista and you see the restaurants on either side.
Sure.
I just think going the other way, it feels a little underwhelming going to the office building.
Yeah, and also one thing that's not represented on here as well, each of those breezeways that we saw in these different developments had their own unique character and furnishings within them. Mm-hmm. So it was almost created another space.
Yeah, it's kind of an outdoor room.
Right, so we certainly are going to focus on that to be able to bring people into there and then obviously be able to get the office tenants a little more access.
Thank you. Overall, I think it's a great project. I think my only other comment would be, and this kind of plays off of your comment on the building height, would be any signage that's, if it's a signage, you get a full floor tenant and they've got a sign on the building, then that signage I would presume would have to be below the building height. Couldn't be mounted up on the mechanical mezzanine, giving it more height.
On this project, we're not proposing any First Internet Bank-like signage that is above.
I just was thinking even just signage on the building, that if there's signage on the building, I'd want it on the building, not on the mechanical mezzanine.
We do not allow signage on mechanical.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. That's it.
One of the things that we've been working on with ourselves and the mayor is about the site plan and the parking on the north side. So on Gritstone Drive, I saw an email come through earlier today with some potential changes there. Did that, I don't know if that got in Ross, but to provide context to the other PUD committee members, the way that it is situated right now, if you park on that north side parking lot, down where it's now showing like the green and orange going through it, before there was no way, if you parked there to safely get through that, you would have to kind of frogger through, yeah.
Right.
And I think Thompson Thrift is working closely, and we plan on being a part of those conversations as well with the hotel group to the north of there, because these are supposed to be integrated and connected developments, but there was no clear way. So I just want to make sure that we capture this intent in the approval for tonight as well, since that is a very, very important thing for myself and the mayor.
Sure, and to be clear, that the commitment then would be to add that sidewalk on the east-west kind of passage through the parking on our property. Yes, we will absolutely do that. I think the crosswalks, we're continuing to explore kind of options on that, just the way that the stormwater management is handled out there. But we certainly want to make sure that the safety of the pedestrians getting into the development is top of mind.
Yeah, I think you've got a captive audience for the restaurants with the hotels right there. So I think you
Yeah.
want to make sure they get there
We
without
wanna make
getting
sure
run
they
over.
get there, Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Megan, for your comments. Any further? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve with the condition of this pedestrian connectivity off of Gritstone Drive and through that parking area. And taking a look at the east side of the multifamily for screening on that garage and landscaping, subject to approval by staff. Is that all the conditions that we talked about?
The office entry.
Oh, yeah. Taking a look at that entry from the plaza area to make that stronger? What's the
Sure.
right word? Okay.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, Kay.
Ms. Baumgartner,
Yes.
Mr. Bender,
Yes.
Mr. Curran,
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson.
Yes, the motion does carry. Thank you. Ross, any River Place PUD committee?
Not tonight.
Okay. Any staff communications for us?
No additional staff communication.
Okay, well, we can consider ourselves adjourned. Thank you.